In today's business world, being an average CEO is no longer an option. That's why we're committed to equipping you with the resources and the tactics necessary to not just survive, but to thrive. You're listening to Not Your Average CEO Lifeline podcast, where we are more than just a voice in the crowd. On this episode today, we have the pleasure of speaking with Logan Cuvo. Logan is a young entrepreneur whose competition is in monopoly markets. Success here, I know, takes extreme skill, communication, referrals, networking, building extreme consistency, fostering those true connections, and it takes a lot of drive. So Logan is going to speak with us on his enthusiasm. Particularly, our topic today is momentum and connections as a CEO, right? That's extremely important when you are starting small and you're going against large corporations. Logan, can you tell our audience a little about yourself? Even though I know, everything about the hockey world, I know that our audience may not. So welcome.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys so much. Um, Really, what kind of kicked it off and started it all, I've been a hockey player since I was around 4 or 5 years old. So it's been in my life since as long as I can remember. And it's brought me almost everything I've had at this point. I mean, gave me a great education in high school, gave me opportunities to really start all of this. And I was playing junior hockey up in Boston. And I realized that I really wasn't a fan of just being treated like I was going through a meat grinder. And I really thought I could do something else and set myself up for something in the future, but still be involved in the game I love so much. And that's kind of where my dad's an entrepreneur as well. He owns a pro stock hockey company, so he sells equipment to the general public that he gets from professional teams. And he had a guy who made his tape just a little bit on the side, and he was done with it and gave the manufacturer to my dad, and I kind of made it my baby from there. And we started selling in May of 2023, and coming in on a year now, so it's definitely been quite the journey so far.
So, what was that initial mindset to know, right? You come from the hockey background, you know that that competition of tape in the hockey world is small, right? To my knowledge, there may be 3 to 5 companies
Absolutely.
that dominate the market. So what was your initial mindset? Were you thinking, okay, maybe people are unhappy with their tape? Were you thinking that there was some loophole because it is a small competitive market? What were your initial mindsets when you're like, okay, I have this, what am I going to do with it?
Yeah, there was definitely a lot of all of what you said. You go into a lot of pro shops worldwide, anywhere you go, and a tape is running you at least $5 a roll. And I was every time you go, it stacks up. It does. Hockey's already a very expensive game, and
Hmm.
where that's where it really does bite you for that. And I was never a fan of the kind of mainstream ones, the material of the different things. And I used that tape for as long as I could remember, just because my dad had been getting it from that guy on the side, and everyone was always like, "Hey, what's that tape? What's that tape? I want to use your tape." And I knew there was something there with that, just because it is so much different than everything else that's out there right now. And that was another reason we originally came in with our original clear tape, just because it's much stretchier and stickier than the normal ones that are out there. And I felt that in that market, especially, there needs to be a new contender, and there needs to be a cooler contender, one that's ran by a younger kid who is trying to disrupt the market. And I really think that we can do that in that end.
Have to say, I needed a piece of tape in the garage the other day and I picked it up and I didn't realize that it was going to be so sticky. Correct. And I was like, what is this? And then I looked at it and it's like, oh, this is not the tape that
Yeah,
I thought it was. So yes,
yeah.
it is extremely sticky. um, was there any sense of fear? Like how am I going to do this? Am I not going to make it? What did you have any of those initial reservations when you started?
Yeah, I definitely think that there was a sense of that there, especially with kind of the company. I stepped away from the game of hockey, like playing competitively, and really taking that seriously. So it was definitely a little bit of fear on that end, but I think that having that my whole life, that thrilling ability and chance that you get to score a goal, I kind of resonated it. I said this before someplace, but I resonated with making a sale as a score and a goal, and I kind of kept that around for me, especially in being involved in hockey and different things like that. I felt like there was more scaredness from me in that regard from there. And I really was excited to really do this and still be around hockey.
I have a question for you, Logan. So I know that you started your company very young, and I had a similar experience. So I started our virtual assistant company a long time ago, but when I started it, I was 23. And so it was a different sort of setting than other entrepreneurs that I was around at the time and networking with at the time. I had a bit of a different um, background. I think that there's something that can come by starting a company really young and a lot of benefits to it. And then, of course, there's some drawbacks. I certainly had difficulty getting people to take me seriously at the time, and also was looking to disrupt an industry, disrupt a market, and that comes with its own hurdles. So I'd love to hear, what advice you can give to other young entrepreneurs, our listeners, just about how when they start, no matter what age they start, how they can just continue to keep that momentum going and sort of not listen to the haters, as you would say.
Absolutely, yeah. Especially being in an industry like hockey, there really isn't the ones that are well established people. They're not really too young, and we're heading to a hockey convention that's for networking, just a bunch of different companies there. And I think that I'm the youngest person who's signed up for the whole thing. And it's just a very interesting way to think about things and approach things. But at the end of the day, I'm still pretty, the biggest thing I say is to not be annoying, but be annoying. You have to follow up. You have to really, yeah, especially with a product that's such a commodity good in our market, it's the only thing that is really going to set it apart is the pricing and if the guys like it. And hockey players are very, very particular about what they like.
Hmm.
So being able to just follow up and really not just follow up for, hey, how's my product doing? You really have to foster the relationship, like you said before, and you have to ask them how they've been doing, how are things, and actually want to connect with them on another level than just selling your product. And I feel as if there's a lot of companies, especially in my market, that don't go, don't have, I've been told this from a few equipment managers, but don't have the love of what an owner has reaching out to the different people. And I really want to be hands on, no matter how big the company ends up getting. I want to be hands on and still make those sales and do those things.
Yeah. I really like that you said, the follow up. And Nicole and I have been working together forever. And a lot of what we say just colloquially with one another is like if people would just follow through. So I think there's the follow up comes along with the if following through. So many people just don't take it that extra step. And it sounds really simple, but I think something like that can really set yourself apart. For you, it can just help set your product and your brand apart because you're taking that extra step and following through and just building that relationship, asking those questions. I think that's really important. And it's a great lesson that you've learned that so early.
Yeah, I'm very, very fortunate for that. I really do. That's definitely comes from a lot from my dad. He's he's he's,
Oh,
he's taught me that since I was playing hockey as a young kid. It's definitely interesting.
I know that we talked a little bit about connections, and it can be hard to sort of I'm not sure how the pandemic affected hockey and their leagues and the amount of players that are playing and all of that, but it's harder today. I think in many ways, even though we do have social media and we have all these opportunities to connect, I think it can sometimes be harder. So do you have any advice for our audience, other entrepreneurs, about how to make those connections?
Yeah, definitely. Obviously the cheesy normal answer is have a good LinkedIn profile, but
That's true.
but that is a bonus to that. But I really feel as if going to networking events, even things that are in your niche, outside of your niche, whatever it is, getting to know those different people and to do that. Especially, I'm super fortunate being a kid in college. There's a bunch of those, and I love taking advantage of that. Really, really put yourself out there. And like I said before, you're not always, you are always trying to sell yourself at the end of the day, but you also want to get to know the person and really learn about what they're doing instead of telling about what you're doing. And I feel like that's the best way to build a strong connection that way.
I love that you said get to know them. One of my things that I teach our assistants or when I talk to clients is ask questions about the person that you're talking to, seem interested in what they have to say. You know, even if it's not, if you're listening and you're not interested in hockey, so to speak, and you're talking to someone, there may be connections that you can pick
Yeah,
up that don't relate
absolutely.
to hockey, right? But I think in this era where we are always on our phones, we're always with technology, it has disconnected us so much. And making those real connections makes a really big difference. Where maybe
Yeah,
20 years ago, if you said hi to someone and you started, they'd be like, "Oh, hey, see you later. Here's my card." Um, but it then it stops and makes people see you when you really are genuinely interested in them.
for
So I'm
sure.
glad that you pointed that part out. So our topic of our entire podcast, right, is not being your average CEO. So can you give one or two pieces of advice to our listeners on how they cannot be an average CEO? And I'm going to say above average because everyone seems to ask us, do you mean below or above as a joke for not being, your typical CEO?
Yeah, I feel as if I've had the honor of being able to speak to a few different CEOs of companies, and it's been amazing. And just really what I notice and what I'm starting to really take advice to is to really think about what you say before it comes out and really get those thoughts and think about those things before you end up just blurting something out. And it's I'm definitely trying to work on that to become not your average CEO. And I feel as if some CEOs take their hands off of it a little more. And I really want to be hands on. I want to be there for my employees when I start to have more. I want to be there for the customers. I want to be able to do those things as a CEO and not kind of step back and lay it on everyone else. I really want to be able to still show my love for the company and the whole sport.
So do you
What?
see yourself
Go ahead.
staying just, sorry, Nicole, I didn't mean to interrupt.
That's all
Do
right.
you see yourself just staying really close to the company, like, 5, 10 years down the road, it's not something where you want to maybe sell or merge with another company. This is what you want to do and be the face of it.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like it could be an
That's
amazing thing
awesome.
down the 10 years down the road. And I'm definitely not closing off my entrepreneurial activity if once I get everything more established to really start venturing into different things. And once the cash flow is a little more there and I'm not in school dumping all the money back into the company,
Right.
uh, I can definitely start moving into different things. And I'm super excited for it. I feel like a lot of what I've been put on this earth to do is to be an entrepreneur and make people happy with the new product I can bring.
What major did you choose? Did you go into college thinking, I have an entrepreneurial mindset, or did you, like me, I have a background in atmospheric science and climate change, so completely different than what I do on a day to
I
day.
I actually went to school for entrepreneurship and innovation. I'm at West Virginia right now. I have a minor in marketing as well, and school's been great. I feel like I really do learn well there, and it's a really nice environment to really foster my skills, especially at such a young age. Really become a better entrepreneur.
Yeah, I'm just curious how it's been for you, running a company
Mhm.
and being in school and all that comes along with, with having to do that. What's that been like for you?
Yeah, definitely. That's I feel like that's the question that most of my friends, most of my teachers that they
Oh,
ask me that
sure.
a lot.
Yeah.
And it's more along the lines of you really need to focus and get your stuff written down. I get my stuff written down. Like I usually schedule my meetings at least a week in advance or a phone call at least 4 days in advance. And I really just want to be able to understand what I'm talking about. If it's something that it's new to me or it's new to the other person, I really want to be able to translate it well between us. And with my homework, I feel like getting that done on the certain days that I have heavier classes has been able to help me a ton. Just being locked in on school the whole day, and then the next day really focusing on the company. And
Sure.
off and on has been really solid for me. Really managing my schedule. But I live by my reminders in my phone. My reminders in my phone, I put everything in there, and it's been great to me. I love the reminders. It's awesome.
I live
So
by
the
my
technology
calendar, so
definitely
yeah.
helps.
Yes, the reminders are the best thing Apple has made. It's my favorite app.
Do you think that you will be a serial entrepreneur? So do you think that you'll start other companies, or do you think that you're going to stick with this?
Yeah, absolutely. I actually getting my hands into somehow another startup company here soon, and just with an old friend of mine, and just gonna see how things go on that end. And I'm really excited to move into as many companies as you could possibly imagine. I really would love to be able to have a hand in all different markets, and trying to learn just the whole way of being an entrepreneur, because I will say it varies from market to market of what you actually have to do, and I'd love to be able to learn all of that.
Oh, sure.
So not just the hockey market.
Yeah, absolutely, not just the hockey market. I feel like being knowledgeable in more topics just in general, because you obviously have to be knowledgeable of the topic, is it is very rewarding to me. Like I do love being knowledgeable about the certain things, and really
For
diving
sure.
into and learning different topics.
That's really exciting. I know, we just wish you all the best. I think it's so exciting to be, a young entrepreneur. And like I said, there are challenges with it, but I think it's really rewarding, and you can just take it and make a whole career out of it. So it's really
Yeah,
exciting.
absolutely, it's awesome.
So I know you said not being your average CEO is being hands-on. Do you have any final thoughts for our listeners surrounding that topic?
I really feel as if, I know it may sound cheesy, like I said before, but you really do have to believe in yourself, and you really do have to do something that you love. And when you're around something that you love, I feel like having such a heavy role as being a CEO doesn't really feel that way. You feel as if like you're a kid in a candy store. It's really everything I could have wanted. And being in different markets, even if you're going to be a serial entrepreneur, do something that you're interested in. You should definitely be interested in multiple different things, and try and check those off your bucket list, and really go into those things, and really just do it, and really believe in yourself, and set goals. I feel like goals are also a big thing that people steer clear from. They don't like to really celebrate too many things, especially publicly. I know that through knowing a bunch of entrepreneurs. They're very reserved when it comes to those things, and I feel like you need to set goals, and really affirm yourself sometimes that you're doing good.
Couldn't agree more. Thank you, Logan, for joining us. I hope that we can have you back next season to talk
I
a
would
little bit
love
more
to.
as you grow. I'm excited to
Yeah.
see where
Yeah.
you land. Can you tell our audience, and of course, we will include everything in our show notes, but can you tell them where they can find more about you?
Yeah. On Instagram, on almost all of our social media platforms, our Instagram is just at bestdamntape. And my email is logan@bestdamntape.com, and our website is www.bestdamntape.com. And I really appreciate it, guys. Thank you guys so much. It's been great.
Thanks,
Thank you
Logan.
so much.
You've been listening to Not Your Average CEO Lifeline with your hosts Danielle Como, CEO, and Nicole Glitchio Els, COO. This podcast has been sponsored by Virtual Assist USA. If you'd like to know more about the hosts or exploring virtual assistant services, visit virtualassistusa.com for more information.